So what I was thinking we could do next is go over the email settings. The email settings can also be accessed through the module options. It's actually the second option that you see here. So email settings, this is going to control where your emails are coming from. So let me give you some examples. Let's say that you set up email notifications to go out automatically for some particular reason. Or let's say your participant portal invitation, inviting them to go out to the portal to log in and do data entry. The plan sponsor data collection, reminders to the plan sponsor and the participant. This is all customized in the email settings. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And if you're using any of our other products, you might already be familiar with this. It's the same setup, in particular notifications and 5500s. The same process you went through with those two modules, all of them really. This is just distribution specific. So underneath here, we do have instructions via that support menu I showed you earlier for user guide. So you would just go to our portal user guide and you would be able to look at the instructions for the portal setup or the email setup in there. I'm also going to cover that with you. So in here in particular with distributions, you only have to specify a server email option. So what that means is everything's going to be coming from a generic email address or a specific person, but everything's coming from that one particular email address. And that's what this from name is and that from email is. So a lot of customers have like a distributions at their companyname.com. You can see I've got DTS only at wolterskluwer.com. So you just need to indicate where that email or what email the software should use to send out those notifications. That way it doesn't look like it's coming from Wolters Kluwer and confuse people. You can, if you want, add a reply to a carbon copy and a blind carbon copy. So what will happen is if you do have a reply to email, so maybe it comes from one email address, but you want responses to go to a different email address, you can do that, or you can just leave it alone so they can't respond. And then if you do that, you can add a BCC and a CC. The next few items are specific to the server that the email address is coming from. So you just need to find out, you can usually do this through an IT person at your company, you need to find out your SMTP server. So in my case at FT William, we use mail.tusshouse.com. Maybe you use Google, there's a Google SMTP server, Outlook SMTP server. What I usually do is I go out to Google and let's say Outlook SMTP, for example. Whoops, fix that, SMTP. So I can look up the SMTP server this way, and the software will help me figure out what needs to go in those boxes. So I'll figure that out, plug in my SMTP server. It will also provide the SMTP port information and the secure connection. And then from there, you need to enter a username and a password for that SMTP server. Once you've done that, you hit save, and then I would just do a test email to make sure that everything worked okay before hitting the ground running. If you have any trouble with that, go ahead and email us at support@ftwilliam.com, and somebody on the support team will be able to walk you through this. And we have workarounds if you have like an unusual scenario, maybe if there's an unusual setup that you need to work around, just let us know. We usually have tricks up our sleeves and we can help you out with that. Over on the right, this is where we get into those email templates. So the email templates are what we use to send out invitations and reminders. We have templates out here by default. You can use ours if you like them. Otherwise, if you go in and you edit, so let's do this time-based notification. We use this one when we're programming the notifications. I'm going to click on edit. And in this message, we are telling a participant, a TPA, a plan sponsor, whoever you want it to go to, that something is due. Something's been out there for a number of days and it's due. We have a placeholder for the participant's name, the plan it's with, all this is very customizable. If you don't like what we have, go ahead and change it. One thing I highly recommend is that you change or you check this box here for HTML email. The nice thing about this is you have more options for customization when you use HTML. So just go ahead and use that. I highly recommend using that when you're customizing these. The other thing that I wanted to mention is placeholders. So remember earlier when we were in the plan specification, I was talking to you guys about how we have placeholders for like accounts, account provider, account number, that sort of thing. This is really where our placeholders are going to come into play. This is one of those places. In the bottom of the menu, we've got a button here called Placeholder List, and it tells you what data the placeholder is associated with. So for example, I have a placeholder for address. I've got placeholders for all of the distribution information. So maybe you want to have the person's first name and last name, email address, maybe the reason for the distribution. There's placeholders for everything. So the point of that is that when this email template is used, it's going to populate that person's name that is associated with the record. So let me give you an example. Let's say that we are going to invite someone to the portal to fill something out. Inside of that invitation, we have a placeholder for the participant's name. Well, when they get the email, it's not going to say the request for exclamation, exclamation participant name. It's going to actually say that participant's name. So the software is just populating that placeholder with the participant's information. Okay? So you have the ability to edit and customize any of these. You can also clone them. So if you don't like ours and you want to clone it, you're going to click on this clone button and give it a new name. I'm going to call it time-based clone. And then you can customize it from there. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to close this. Once you create your clones or you edit your template, this is where you indicate which template you want the software to use in those instances. So if I had saved my clone, you would see that as an option here in the drop-down box. Again, I've got a short video for this. I have instructions in that user manual, so if at any time you can't remember something we covered today, you can always reference those, but you can always call us too. The next thing that I'd like to talk about is portal branding, and in particular, I want to talk to you about the participant portal branding. So I'm going to go into one of my plans for an example, and this is super straightforward. Underneath module options, we have an option in here now called participant branding. So rather than us using the Wolters Kluwer logo and our Wolters Kluwer colors, you can upload your own logo and pick what color scheme you want to use. So when the participant goes in, they take a look at the portal, they're going to be able to see your branding, so your colors and your logo. Keep in mind those images need to be 200 by 50 pixels. Okay. So I'm going to click on Save. If you do make changes, do make sure you click on Save. And you also want to make sure that you display the custom branding. If you don't want to display the custom branding, you're going to use Do Not Display. So whatever selection you make, just make sure you hit Save when you're done. So the next thing that I want to go over with you guys is the templates. Some of you may remember this from any demos or training sessions that we've done, but I always go over how you can create distribution packages using the software. And not just distribution packages, this can be used to create trustee authorizations, custodial directives, forced out notices, cover letters. Anything that you are preparing for distribution purposes, you want to load this into the template editor. So if you are at all familiar with how a merge document works, it's the same idea. You're just doing it inside of FT William. You don't have to have 5 programs open feeding information. It's all done inside of FT William. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Module Options. And just a reminder, it doesn't matter if you're in the Plan dashboard or the Global dashboard. You'll still have the same options underneath Module Options. We are focusing here where it says Edit Document Templates. So in here, by default, we're going to give you a bunch of templates. In particular, they are like the generic distribution election form, spousal consents, tax notice. We have a directive. We have spousal consents, which I think I already said. We have trustee authorizations, force out notices. So we do have a lot of templates in here that you are more than welcome to use. However, if you don't like ours, I recommend you upload your own. The nice thing about this is if you do have something that you're using, it's got your branding on it, it looks nice, you can still use it. So what we're going to do first is we have to insert placeholders into our templates. I'm going to show you an example of a Word document and a PDF. So I actually have one ready to go for you guys, but before I open that up, I want to talk to you about placeholders again. So placeholders, as you know from the template editor, placeholders tell us what information should be populated on that particular template. So all of these placeholders are associated with information in your specifications and your distribution records. I highly recommend you save this to your computer. If you click on download CSV file of placeholders, it's going to dump everything into a spreadsheet, and then you can save it to your computer. That way you don't have to keep reopening this because it'll get annoying. So go ahead and download that and save it. And once you have those placeholders, you are going to open up one of your templates. So I actually have a template I want to show you. This is a Microsoft Word version. And what I want you guys to see is that I have a plan name placeholder here. I've got a last name, first name placeholder, Social Security. So I actually have already inserted all these placeholders inside of my template. So once you've done that, that is when you are going to come back to the template editor and you are going to upload it. And let me show you the process of getting a template added. What you're going to want to do first is grab a system template that's in a document format. So see how it says format at the top, and I have document. You're going to grab one of those. It honestly does not matter which one you grab as long as it's a document format. You're going to click clone. Now you need to give it a name. So I'm going to call it Coronavirus Distribution Election Form. So what you're effectively doing is creating a placeholder for your template. So I'm going to click OK, and it's going to be added to the bottom of the list. So see how it's sitting here, Coronavirus Distribution Election Form. Now that I have a placeholder for it, I'm going to upload my template. So I'm going to go out to my computer, and I'm going to look for that file.